Hey there, we're coming up on the holidays and we have been talking about gifting and gratitude, of course, but gifting that great gift of puppy. And we want to talk a lot about why that may or may not be the best idea. I'm Heather Furby with Casa Luna Canines, dog training, human learning. Welcome to our free video series. So gifting, yeah, it's not, I know, it's that Hallmark moment, right? We picked out our puppy, and puppies symbolize love and joy and long term. And so it's always with the best intention, like, I'm going to be here forever. It's you, me, and Mr. Puppy. And I know when we take, for most of you listening to this, it's not more than just a heartbeat to go, oh yeah, maybe not the best idea. Because it's a long-term gift that may even outlast the relationship that prompted the gift in the first place. Nothing better than getting that cute puppy and then the relationship doesn't last, and now you've got an 18-month-old puppy that you may or may not have the lifestyle to deal with. So all kinds of things that come into puppy gifting. The one thing, obviously, is when you gift the puppy, if we can't sway your mind and you want to do this puppy thing, we always want to do the gift of training. So watch for our upcoming series, as we're going to really talk about how to give the gift of training and how you can enroll somebody else in giving that training. So you're not just like, here's a certificate that never gets used. But anyway, that's to come. Today we want to talk about puppies and gifting. So what we've got is, Alan was telling me this great analogy of like when you get a car. We always see those great commercials where it's a car, they come out, they're like, I got the car, and there's this big bow on it, everyone's so happy. And I think there was one commercial that, like, he said, ooh, I'll take the black car, and she goes, that's mine. And it's that thing of like, what they never show on the commercial is that they got the car and the person's running out and going, oh, I wanted the green truck. Like, that one's good. Or I wanted a SUV instead of the sedan or something, because they didn't get to pick it up themselves, which is their personality. They wanted to test drive it and fit. So we all get caught up in this surprise, and we always want to give the perfect gift. But a puppy, people really want to pick out their puppy, the size, one that fits their personality. And the most important thing is the puppy that speaks to you and your personality when you see the litter, especially if it's a puppy, and the amount of research that needs to go into a solid breeder. Quite possibly the unethical breeders are alive and well around the holidays because they know you thought of this and you don't have 6 months to research breeding and puppy and buy future puppies. You need it now. And you need it in a box with a little bow on its head. It's got to be a certain age. And so they're breeding like crazy right now, which is in the US, where are we? Mid-November, 15th, 16th, somewhere around there. So we're just at that point that like puppies have to be born in order to go out at Christmas. They had to have been born a couple weeks ago. So anyway, there's all that to consider. So what we want to talk about is really what you could do instead. One of the things that you could get really creative is give the gift of a promise of a puppy, which is like put together a really cool gift of, I don't know, a crate, like one of those adjustable crates that's going to grow as your puppy grows so they have more room. Get some bowls that are, customized with maybe a name, or you don't want to name the puppy, but, get some rugs, a bed, some puppy food, get your training gift certificate to somewhere local or online courses. There's all kinds of things, a leash, a collar. You can put this all together in a cute little box and get a cute little stuffed puppy in the crate, and present it. So it's like they open it up. It could be fun. There's all kinds of stuff. And then you can help them pick out the puppy. Maybe go with them. Maybe one of the gifts is like you've researched 3 or 4 reputable breeders that are not buying online, that you get to go see the puppy, you see the parents of the puppy, you meet them both. If they're registered, you're going to see the whole line. You want them tested for hip dysplasia, for if they do temperament testing, that's questionable. We can talk about that sometime. But, that we know we've got a long breed of healthy puppies. And so if you've researched the breeder, they'll be able to supply all that. Maybe all that kind of stuff goes in. Maybe even put a down payment on a future puppy. But you're just not getting the puppy in the box with the promised litter. You're letting them help pick it out. So I know a lot of that is just like, well, of course we're going to do that. But you'd be surprised how many puppies are given over the holidays because they're so darn cute. And we just think all that bundle of joy under the tree or whatever you celebrate or don't celebrate, we just think what a great time. And the other thing, because we're going to talk about this coming up, is in our winter blues, we tend to get really depressed. And so what better to lift our joy than puppy? But I just want to talk about gifting yourself a puppy, gifting somebody else a puppy. It's a lifetime commitment. I mean, you're in it for at least the next, 12, maybe 20 years. So that's a really long gift. And we want to help people make the best gift, make the best choice, spend your time. Don't try to rush it for the holidays. And if you do, we want to talk about when you give this gift of training. We've got something to download. I think there's a link somewhere or in the description.
In the description, we'll put it.
In the description? Okay.
Yep.
So in the description, wherever that is, I like doing this. I'm never one of those. I don't know where we are in video, but maybe it's down there. 5 things to teach before sit. So if you've seen me at all, we're behavior-based. So what we're doing is working on preventing unwanted behaviors. That's the number one thing with puppy. So in preventing unwanted behaviors, there's so much we can teach before sit. And what we love with sit, cue, command, is that puppies are going to do it anyway. And we teach it really fast, and it makes us feel good. So the number one thing I get when people call about puppy training is, oh my God, my puppy already knows sit, down. And then that's usually they don't have anything past that because it's sit and down. And those are great. I don't want to say that we don't need them. I'm just saying there's so much else we can teach. So if you download these 5 things to teach before sit, the things that you'll learn, their name, that it is the most powerful tool you're going to have in all of training. So we're going to introduce how to get your dog to listen to its name and when to use it during training. Because if we get their name and we just start yelling it, it's like, I'm going to sit here. Oh, you guys love this one. And if I just yelled, Alan, 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 Alan.
It's not
Alan,
funny.
Alan.
It's not funny.
Alan.
It's not funny anymore.
Come on, you guys know that video. If you don't, go look it up and send it to Alan. He loves that. Alan, 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 Steve. Anyway, so I love it. So if I do that, Alan doesn't think it's funny. He's not going to listen. I could yell his name. Doesn't matter how loud. Think of it as your kid. Mom, 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 watch me. Mom, watch, mom, watch. And you just start tuning it out. Dogs do the same thing. So if I'm sitting here just being like, Piper, 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 no, Piper this, Piper that, dog's not going to listen. So I'm going to teach you how to make their name the most powerful tool and how to get your dog to listen to it or for it. Marker word, it's that thing that tells them that things are going well and that a treat is forthcoming. So it's the way we do train on a marker word like yes. It's kind of like a clicker training. Do I have that here? If we get our dog to listen to that, for that sound, we condition that sound. And that means treat is coming. You're on the right track. It's like playing hot and cold. When we're a kid, I'm warm, cold, hot, when I'm trying to find something. That's what we're trying to do with our dogs when we're coaching them towards success. So the marker word allows you to not be a Pez dispenser forever and not always have to have treats because it says, hey, you're doing good. Treat's going to be coming, but I don't have to constantly, be whacking treats out of my pocket. Although we do start with treats, food rewards, because it's the easiest thing. Onward, we teach here, which you can teach with things like this, which would be teaching the foundations of recall. So if I start pointing, I don't know how far over I can go. We can start pointing. We have this little finger that has it. So we can start, dogs are visual. So puppies, we can start pointing here, here, here. You can't see that around here. So that they learn to touch something that's not us, so that the cue doesn't become here and I do this weird, stance or something that we do. I don't know how much you can see of me, but it's like if I keep going here and I'm doing here and I'm patting my jacket here, well, then this becomes the recall cue. And maybe it's the sound of the jacket. And then someday my dog, I'm not wearing the jacket and they don't know what I'm doing because I'm saying here. And my hands are all next to me here. So teaching here, fun thing you can teach before sit because it's more useful. Other tools we've got, like for here, spatula. The spatula of peanut butter. It's my favorite. You know, put some tasty things and I can lead them around and get them to move with me and teach them all kinds of things because they're concentrated on this. But I can start teaching body awareness with that. Same with like a little food tube, fill a food tube. I'm giving away all my secrets. None of you are going to have to take class from me. All right. So we teach the power of here. I think in there is snuggle, which helps your dog learn to trust you and learn to be good with body handling. But, you know, we teach a puppy to put their head right up here and snuggle on cue. So it builds trust and confidence. And we learn to say thank you to our dogs, which is like what I'm doing right now. Thank you, Luna. Oh, thank you. Which is just helps us with our mindset, which is the number one thing in behavior training is the human awareness side. So if I learn to say thank you for my dog, it gets me focused on that reframe, which is what I want my dog to do, because I want to be training myself to say thank you all the time, which means I got to get my dog to do all the good stuff so I can thank them, rather than walking around saying, no, 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 don't do that, don't do that. Just like this. What are you doing? She's relearning how to sit and be calm. We haven't done it in a while and she's not enjoying it. So that's the 5 things to teach before sit. You can download that for free and put it in with your puppy gift and you're already giving the gift of training. So that's awesome. Mostly though, I want to focus on socialization. Now, if you've heard any of our videos, teachings, podcasts, you know I talk about proper socialization. And it's nothing that I have made up myself. And it feels like it sometimes. It feels like I'm just yelling into a little cavern. Like, hello, this is how you socialize. Don't listen to everything you're reading on the internet. And why is that? It's really confusing. American Veterinary Society of Animal Behavior, SAB. They put out a great article, which we'll link to here too, which is basically talking about puppy socialization and that they are the belief that socialization should start before dogs are fully vaccinated because they need that interaction. Now, there's 2 sides to that. So I want to let you know why they released that is because people were waiting way too long and keeping their dogs like, you know, far, far away from everything and doing bad human behavior. Meaning I got a puppy, so I'm going to just carry my dog. I'm not keeping him inside. I'm just not letting him be on the ground. So I'm carrying my puppy that's in air jail all around with me everywhere and teaching this puppy from the time it's tiny that this is where we live. We live up here and we look down on the world and I don't have to act like a dog. I don't have to do anything. So that was becoming really, really prevalent with humans. So what the Veterinary Society said, what are we doing? What are we doing, Luna? Hey. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Said is, it's actually okay. Put your dog on the ground before they have all their vaccinations and start interacting with them like they're real dogs. Now, it says find a proper puppy class, which is great if you could find a proper puppy class. But what happens is most puppy classes turn into like a daycare situation where everybody's sitting around with their coffee and their cameras, taking pictures of the puppies, and nobody's really showing you what is proper play behavior and what we might need to look out for with our dogs, which behavior we want to break up, when we want to encourage a dog that's cute and hiding under the chair to say maybe it needs a little help coming out and being braver. But generally speaking, it's just giving us information that, oh, I want to work on more confidence with that dog. I want to work on maybe a dimmer switch with this dog. With this dog, I want to teach it to maybe recover a little faster, have a little more resilience. So those are all skills, but we can learn that with like maybe a minute or two of playing. We don't need puppy socialization is not the way we use the word socialize, which is I'm going to go out and I'm going to be social. So I'm going to go talk to other humans, or I'm going to go out to a pub, at least be around other humans, may or may not interact with them, but that's me being social. Puppies, it's different. When we talk about proper socialization, I want to go a little bit against what American Veterinary Society says, but not entirely. I do agree it can start early, but generally by the time you are bringing a puppy home, it's too late. Like we've already passed that period of socialization or critical period of socialization. So that was meant more for breeders that are waiting too long to bring their dog and put the dog around the house and socialize the dog from that very, very early stage to new sights, sounds, smells, textures. That should all be the breeder that does that. By the time you get the dog at 8 to 10 weeks or later, that critical period of socialization is probably over and maybe the window's closing. That doesn't mean we don't socialize our dogs. It just means it's a different level of socialization. So what's happening, all by way of saying, that document is true and factual. People are taking it and using it in a way that is actually doing more harm to puppies, once again, because we don't understand proper socialization. So today we want to just go down a couple things. Sometimes it's easier to start with what socialization is not. I know we talked about this just a couple weeks ago. We did our little game, if you heard it, where it's like we gave scenarios and went, bam, bam, bam. We did this. Got that one, and that was wrong. So we did a little game show, which is fun. But I also want to be really serious about proper socialization because it really is the first thing to write down. It is not about having your dog around other dogs or teaching your dog to be a dog. There is a need for dogs to interact to a certain degree, but we have their whole life to do that. We never need to teach a dog to be a dog. That's really actually kind of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Obvious.
Obvious?
Intuitive.
I'm going more that it's
Intuitive?
ego. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm going to say it's our ego. Our ego, and presumptuous is the word I was looking for, that we can teach a dog to be a dog. Dogs are going to know how to be dogs. Some are going to get along with lots of others. Some are going to be more outwardly social, inwardly social, introverts, extroverts, just like humans. We don't have to necessarily teach our kids how to be themselves, right? Most of our life is teaching a child how to interact with what we think society is. That's a whole other discussion, but the same kind of stuff happens for puppies. We have to teach the puppy proper social engagement with the human world, not with the dog world. They know how to do the dog world. They'd probably be much better if humans got out of it. Majority of the behaviors are actually created by humans. So things like resource guarding. In the dog world, very, very little resource guarding happens because the dog has its food and says, I'm eating, and another dog approaches, and all they got to do is give that side eye, like, get away. And the dog goes, oh, okay, outie, like, I don't need that. They don't come up and do the, hey, I put food down, now I'm taking food away. I give food and we're all trying to eat out of the same bowl, so resources are scarce. I mean, it does happen in the wild, but that's wolf behavior. We are centuries away from that. So left to themselves, most dogs, if humans weren't involved, are going to leave resources alone for the other dog. And anyway, there's a whole discussion on that, but we create it because we go in and we're like, hey, you want this? You can't have it. You might be able to have this. You can't have it. Something dropped on the floor. I smacked your snout when you tried to get it. So we teach dogs that resources are limited and scarce and that they need to learn to protect those. So that's like something that humans teach. We teach leash reactivity, which is like when that dog, puppy's at the end of its leash and gets to jump all over the other puppies because it's this big. It's super cute. And they're all romping around. We're like, woohoo, whoopsie, look at that. That's so cute. And it is cute. But what we're teaching the dog is often when you're on leash, you don't have the ability to leave a situation if you don't like it because I'm now on this leash and I'm yanking you around. And so my experience in greeting is How are you? Yeah, okay. Hey, how are you doing? Oh, goodness gracious, I'm over here. And if harness, collar, whatever, is I'm here and I go, oh, I'm getting choked. So I'm having repeated kind of pissy interactions because I'm getting frustrated. I'm annoyed because human is pulling this leash around. And we let dogs jump all over each other. And either your dog is learning, this is super fun and I love it, so I better go jump on every dog because that's fun. And apparently I get lots of treats and praise, so that must be what the human wants, is me to be social by pouncing on everything. And then we say, well, but why is my dog pouncing on me? Why does my dog bite me? Why does my dog not listen to me? I'm like, oh, because we let it jump on all the other things and then expect it really early to go, oh, but I shouldn't jump on that human. It's a lot for a puppy to learn. We also might have a dog that's scared about meeting other dogs and a little bit hesitant, and we keep throwing them out there on a leash, and they're like, I don't like this world. Like, I just want to be home. I'm a little scared. I don't know what's happening. And they start associating that with the leash, because every time we go out in the world, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze, or not. Every time we go out in the world, we put this leash on, and then they have scary interactions. So they learn, ooh, leash means scary interactions. I better tell everybody to stay away, so I'm going to bark at everything and say, you go away, you go away, you go away, because that's how I've learned to interact with the world, right? So point is, us humans create a lot of the behaviors in our dogs and unconsciously reinforce them instead of, when our hope is, oh, we're socializing our puppy because I brought it to puppy class and they got to play and that was good. And then I brought it home and I brought it out for ice cream and I went to get a pup cup and then we went to grandma's house and we went to the kid's house and the dog's like crying out loud. Like, I can't handle all that. So we end up reinforcing anxiety, talk about that dimmer switch. It's like the light switch, which is on, high energy, off, low energy. We want a dog to have a dimmer switch that they can come up a little bit and then regulate themselves. Puppies can't do that real well. They're going to have on and off. But what we're doing then is reinforcing on all the time because we let them play. We see them jumping and having energy as, oh, they better go burn off that energy. So we let them run for hours out in the yard or play with other dogs. Newsflash, generally speaking, your puppy will never burn off energy. They are an abundant supply. They need much more rest and containment and quiet time. That's what teaches a dog to be calm and confident later in life. Because as a puppy, it was introduced to, oh, this is the way I interact. I get to just be nice and calm. When I get bitey and over the edge, nothing good happens. I usually have to go take a nap. Okay, not punishment, but I'm over arousal, over threshold. So I get to learn to calm down. Every time I reach that stage, I learn to calm down. That's what we're trying to teach our dogs with proper socialization. So that's why I say it's not about being around other dogs in and of itself, right? So write that down. Socialization is not about being around other dogs. That means it opens the world to how you socialize your dog. How do you want to introduce them to our human world? So most important is to realize we don't have our human world figured out yet. So a puppy's not going to get it all figured out. So the goal is positive interactions. How do I ensure a positive interaction? That's done through rewards, which is the constant, the name, marker word, food rewards, play, listening to my dog. What does my dog say is the reward? The reward is always based on what the dog thinks is valuable, not what I think is valuable. We use food a lot at the beginning because it's easy and they have to eat anyway. And I can have it with me and dole out in little bits throughout the day to reward their good behavior. So rewarding the puppy every time they're calm, rewarding the puppy if we do go outside and they just play a little bit and they stay nice and calm, that's when all the rewards happen. So it's about introducing the world to a dog bit by bit, really positive, and in ways that the dog thinks is awesome. Now, the catch with that is we can't control the environment, right? So people are like, well, yeah, but how do I deal when my dog's out and playing with other dogs at the dog park and the other dog jumps on them and they're having a bad experience? we got to look at ourselves first and say, oopsie, maybe my dog should not be in that environment. If I can't control the experience, my dog is more likely, if I'm not setting my dog up for success, you can't control your dog, but if I'm not setting my dog up for have a positive experience, maybe we shouldn't be in that environment. So I've been asked, well, what if two puppies are playing and my dog constantly gets trounced? Well, again, that's not fun. I mean, would you play with somebody that constantly smacked you around? And, I might get up again because I'm resilient, but I'm like, after a while, that's not fun. So I'm going to turn and bite the next dog that comes by because I'm frustrated with being smacked around so much. So that's where we got to learn no experience is better than a bad experience. So write that down, put it on your forehead backwards, I guess so you can see it. Put it on the mirror. No experience is better than a bad experience. And I will say that over and over and over. The smaller you make your dog's world, the better socialized your dog will be because they haven't had a bunch of bad experiences. Every time we have a bad experience, we got to undo that with like 8 good experiences. So unless you know you're setting your dog up and you know your dog so well that you can tell, no, that's really having fun, not an overwhelmed dog, I don't know, bitey or hiding. I really know my dog has a positive, awesome experience that wasn't over the top, but wasn't super scary. Then that's great. Then we're socializing. Then I'm introducing my dog. Majority of socialization can be done around the home. I want to introduce my dog to new textures. Great, you probably have new textures around your house. You might have tile in one room, a rug. If not, you can go buy little rugs. You can put down cardboard. Just getting your dog used to walking over things, not being scared. You open doors, close doors, put on a wig, put on a hat, buy a fake beard. What else? Raincoats. Put on a big raincoat with a hood over your head and still play with your puppy and be awesome. Open an umbrella. Close the umbrella, but it's just you and your puppy. And you're showing your dog like, hey, this happened. That happened. That happened. You stayed nice and calm. You got rewarded. And they start realizing 99% of the world is not for them. And that is proper socialization, where we're getting our puppy to take their cues from us as their guardian, as their guide, as their companion. They're going to look to me and go, what are we doing, human? And I'm going to go, we're going on a walk. And they go, okay, I'm with you on a walk. As opposed to when we introduce our dogs to too much too soon, they learn squirrel, rock, acorn, squirrel, rock, bird, acorn. And we go on a walk and they go, yeah, whatever. Squirrel, 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 squirrel. And now I've got this dog and I try to intervene and they're like, bite the leash, bite the hand that feeds, bite, you are nothing. I want to go play with squirrel. I can't control that. So then what do? I start yanking on the leash. I start yelling at my dog. I start having bad experience because dog wants squirrel, isn't interested in me. Then you call your trainer and you go, how do I get my dog to listen to me? And you go, let's go back to proper socialization. And I could say this, I could keep going on this topic for probably 72 hours and then start again. And you could listen to the whole thing. And then somebody out there is going to be like, yeah, picked up my puppy and I'm walking to the store and I'm going to introduce him to everybody. And maybe 1 out of 10 times that puppy's going to be fine. But then fast forward, we never know what the fallout is for dogs. So fallout is the stuff that happens after the stuff. So I introduced my dog to too much too soon. They seem fine. And then about 6 months when they go through their next fear period, they've decided that maybe I'm not a human worth trusting because I keep pushing them into these scary experiences. While they're with me, they hear a car backfire. And now, boom, I'm scared of leash, I'm scared of human, and I'm scared of cars all at once because it was fallout. I was living over threshold, and then I heard this big explosion, and I associated it with something, and now I've got this out of nowhere, a crazy dog that is reacting. But really what we did is we didn't listen to our dog early on. So, does that make sense? Sort of? Kind of? Sort of? Let me know. Give me feedback, please. If you read these videos I don't know who you're reading the videos. If you see these videos, you can comment. You can always hashtag at Casa Luna Canines. You can hashtag us. I don't know, whatever that works on social media. I'm not going to sound like a dork pretending I don't know what it is, at Casa Luna Canines. I know that's on us on Facebook and Insta. You can text, write, call, email. Anyway, ask questions. Say, I don't agree with you because I had this experience, or whatever. That's fine. We'll talk about those. I'm giving you my experience from years of dog training, but proper socialization, I don't see many people doing it. And the problem is we're asking so much more of our dogs than we ever have before. So socialization has become more and more prominent. When I was a kid, I think I was 10 when I got my first Barney dog. It was a lab from the shelter, or the pound as we called it then. And I brought him to puppy class, and it was about squeaky toys and, little pop-up things and just having fun and experience. And she walked around with an umbrella, and we just sat there with our dogs. And then that was it. That's all we needed. But then my dog lived in the backyard and basically was there. Maybe went camping with us a couple times. But basically, his life was fairly small, and he was a pretty well-adapted dog. But now we want to take our dogs everywhere and have them behave great in all circumstances, at the cafe, on the hike, with the grandkids. I've been through them before. All places, all the time, everywhere. That takes a very different kind of socialization. So socialization has become a hot topic. And while there's a hot topic, it means there's a lot of misinformation out there on what socialization is. And it's just not about exposure and exposure therapy. So don't expose yourself. Or don't expose your dog. Don't expose yourself either. That's not right. I actually have that written down here. It's not about exposing yourself. That is absolutely not what socialization is about. But it's also not about exposing your dog to just random things. So we figured out what it's not. It's not about exposing your dog to other dogs. It's not about overexposing your dog to just stuff. It is about getting your dog to look to you for guidance and realizing that 99% of the world is not made for them, and it's all a bunch of white noise, and they just don't have to pay attention to it. And we do that through proper socialization. And that's what I got to say about that.
Yeah, and I think it's also what we always say is what we want to do with our dog has changed. So we need to change the way that we train him.
Yeah. So to repeat what Alan was just saying is, what we ask of our dog has changed. We need to change the way we train them. So that means learning more and more about our dog, as more and more as the social structure changes to dogs being part of our family. We actually have to treat them as part of the family, which means we have to understand their range of emotions, their range of willingness to work, biddability, their disposition, what they like and don't like, and know that every dog is different. And we're always training the dog in front of us at this moment. And that may or may not be the dog that you knew yesterday, may or may not be the dog that's there tomorrow. They're not that crazy, but they're going to have personalities. We all having a day. Luna's sitting here right next to me now, biting her nails off. She's having a day. So I'm going to hang out with her for a little bit. So if you've got questions, go ahead and give them to us on social media, or text, or fire off an email. Until next time, what do we want to say? Remain confident. Remain calm. Stay confident. Stay connected. I'm Heather Furby with Casa Luna Canines. Today we talked about proper socialization. We will see you next time.